Hi, my name is Dr. JeanClark, and the reason I am in your life and you're looking at this video is that I am the coordinator of the Foundation Field Services, which means I coordinate the paperwork and the documents and the procedures for you when you put in the 20 hours that are required as field services, observation, and intervention with children during your first of your 4 semesters in the College of Education in the education prep program of your choice. I need to tell you about 4 or 5 things about the program, and then I also need to refer you to some documents that are in your EPY 351 course. Let me explain one thing to you. I'm sorry about the cuffs. I've got wrist problems. Let me explain one thing to you about me and about your course instructors. I am an instructor of one section of EPY 351. However, the other sections of EPY 351 are taught by other instructors. However, anything to do with this thing that I'm talking with you now about, called Foundation Field Services, or your 20 hours of service learning, you're going to need to direct any questions or information or documents to me. Your instructors for 351 basically have been gracious enough to let us get in touch with you through them, because everyone who comes into the College of Ed first semester is supposed to have 351, and it's the only course that everybody has to have their first semester. So that's why you're hearing about this in 351. There is a relationship, though, between the 20 hours that you're required to fulfill and your 351 course. It's kind of bad news, but here it is. If you do not do the 20 hours and have documented evidence on a log, then you can make whatever grade, A or B or whatever, in the course, and you will still be administratively failed, because it's a requirement of this course that while you're in this course, you fulfill these hours. However, we have found that most of the students who are in EPY 351 are also in other courses that require field services. Some examples are EDF 315. A big one for elementary ed majors is EDU 330, the reading course. In HPEL, there are 3 courses, and I'm sorry I don't remember the exact numbers, but here's the news. If you are required to do field services 20 hours or more in any other course this semester, that counts as part of your Foundation Field Services in this course. So if that's true of you, if you have this requirement in any other course, you need to send 3 pieces of information to your 351 instructor, and then you also just need to send a copy of that to me. And in the document, both my email and my cell phone are listed. So the 3 pieces of information are the name of the course, the other course in which you have to do the hours, the instructor's name, and the site or sites at which you'll be doing your 20 hours. Okay? So first of all, the rule number 1 is it's mandatory, you got to do it. Rule number 2 is that if you're doing it in any other course besides 351, then it counts. You just have to give that information to your 351 instructors. If you don't have another course where the field services is required, then you'll be basically answering to me. And all that means is the following 2 things. First of all, once you get a site, and you choose the sites in the fall and summer semesters, the site has to be a school. And fall and spring. But in the summers, you can imagine, a lot of schools aren't open yet when we start our summer school program. So therefore, we say that this is the rule. You can do your 20 hours anywhere where school-age children are learning. Band camps, youth camps, sports camps, music camps, art camps, day camps, vacation Bible schools, anywhere where scout outings, anywhere where students are learning. There's a little bit of a distinction, and you can read about it in the paperwork. For example, you could go to the Y and watch children having swimming lessons, and you could count that. But you can't go to the Y and just watch children swimming recreationally. You can go to a sports camp and watch children as they're learning skills, but you can't just go to a playground and watch kids playing ball. Does that make sense? So it has to be a setting where there is someone supervising children who are learning. And the site supervisor, whether it's a day camp director or a teacher or Boys and Girls Club director, someone on that site has to be what we call the site supervisor and has to sign your log. In the fall and spring, that's real easy. It's going to be the school teacher under whom you do your work or your observation. Okay, so that's the site. If you're in the other classes, they're going to help you find your sites. If you are in EPY 351 and you don't have this requirement in any other courses, if it's fall and spring, any school is available, except there are 16 what we call protected schools, and there's a list of those that will be provided to you through your 351 site. In the summer, there's no protected anything. We just need you to tell us what your site is. If we find out up front that your site is not appropriate for whatever reason, then we will certainly contact you immediately. Okay, so if you do not have another course where this 20 hours is required, you also need to send to me pretty immediately. As soon as you find the site and talk to the person on site and tell them you want to do your 20 hours, you need to send to me a little form, and it's also one of the documents that you'll get through 351, and it just tells me the name of your site, the name of your site supervisor, and a way I can contact them. You need to ask them for that, whether they want me to email them or call them or whatever. But the reason we do that, and I'll tell you the truth, is people have tried to cheat, not a lot, but a few in the past, and so we actually call and check up on you. So we need that documentation early on, like the first week, because there's only 8 weeks of summer and you have 20 hours to go. So by the end of this week, you really need to be finding that site. Second of all, at the end of the semester, whether it's spring, summer, or fall, we will need a log from you. There is a log provided to you in 351, but if your other courses require this field services, they probably have their own logs. But ours is simply 3 columns, and it says date, activity, and how long were you there. Okay, and that, oh, sorry, there's a 4th column, the big column. The most important column is every time you go to the site supervisor signs. It's not at the end where they say, yeah, I think he was here 20 hours. No. Every time you go, if you spend 45 minutes or an hour and a half or whatever, the site supervisor, and you put the date and you put what activity you either engaged in or observed, and then the site supervisor signs their name that day to that line saying, yep, she was here, she did that. So those are really the rules. You have to do 20 hours. You fail this course if you don't do them. I'm sorry, that's just an administrative decision. I need your site information sheet. Now, I only need your site information sheet if you are doing the hours just for 351 for me and not doing it through another course. The other courses have their own ways of checking up with you. They either assign you to sites or they check with sites or whatever. At the end of this semester, though, everybody, people in 351, people who did their work in 350 or HPL or in a music symposium or whatever, everybody who is in per semester, everybody who's in 351 and listening to this tape needs to send me a copy of your log. Please send me a copy. Do not give me your original. You can either scan it in and send it by email, and my email address is on the documentation, or you can bring it by my office, 3709 UCOM, and actually you would go to the professional studies office and have them put it in my box. The logs are due to me on the last day of regular classes by 5 p.m. So you need to look at your schedule, because I'm making this kind of a universal film for every semester. So look, not the end of the semester, end of exams, but the last day of regular classes by 5 p.m. in my box. If it's not there, unfortunately, I have to tell the principal, I have to turn your name in to my supervisor, who is in charge of student teaching, and this wouldn't be a good beginning for you, but I turn the names into the student teaching office for all of those who did not complete the hours, from whom I did not get logs. And so if you are on the way and you have a flat tire and it's 4:30, you need to call me, because I do this religiously. I check at 5 o'clock. I'm either on campus or I have someone on campus pick up the papers, and I look online and I make my little charts. And by 6 o'clock, I am returning in the list to Dr. Simpson and Dr. Kent, those people who didn't give me logs. And there's not a lot of wiggle room there. So if you have any questions, my cell phone is 709-2490. I live on Dolphin Island. Sometimes the clouds get us, but usually I answer, and if I don't answer, leave me a voice message and a phone number, and I'll call you back. All the other information and everything I've just said are in a document that you'll be given in 351. All right, thank you. I hope it's a good experience, both in your classroom and in your field services. But remember, if you have any question or problems about field services, you need to contact me, because your 351 instructor is simply gracious enough to let me get in touch with you through them. Thank you, and have a great semester.